In this exercise, we'll be leveraging the nested movie clips to create a multi-tiered animation, if you will. I've got the complete version right now, and I'll show you the end result. It's basically a car with spinning wheels that moves across the shape of the hill. And I've got clouds that are translucent moving across the sky. And I've also got birds that are flapping their wings moving across the sky as well. So let me just do a test movie here. And we'll take a look at the end result. Cars moving across, wheels are spinning, birds are flapping their wings, and clouds are moving across the sky. And you see when the birds intersect the cloud, there is a bit of translucency there. So we're going to build this today. So once again, you can see that I've got 5 different layers. One with the sky, which is simply a big rectangle colored. Could have also just colored the background, I suppose, but I wanted to keep my options open in case I wanted to maybe apply a gradient to it or so. But right now it's just a flat colored rectangle. I've also got the birds on a separate layer, and you can see when I highlight it that there is a motion path and 3 keyframes, and I also went in with my subselection tool and changed the nature of the curve of that path. You'll notice the birds too are outlined with a blue marquee, meaning that that is a movie clip. And within that movie clip, I actually have a movie clip of the animated bird, and then I created 3 instances of that bird, resized them and positioned them. So really we've got a movie clip inside of another movie clip to create the group of birds. Let me go up to my clouds layer, which are 3 translucent clouds that I've drawn, and they simply animate between 2 keyframes to move across the sky. Then I've got the ground, which I'll unlock here, and that's simply a raw vector shape that I drew. But I also copied the curve of the top of that hill, if you will, to establish the motion path for my car that runs across it. If I move my playhead here, you'll see the car follows that line. Now I had to make some adjustments after attaching that motion path, which I will show to you once we get to the car. And then finally in my top layer is the car. And again, you can see when I highlight it, it's got the motion path, which is the exact same line as the hill. Again, I copied the hill top, just the line on the top, went into my animated car, highlighted it, and pasted the path. Now that car also has spinning wheels. It is also masked out from a photograph, so we need to create a mask for the car. And it's hard to tell here, but there's also a mask for the window, and there's a passenger inside of the car. Happens to be Lady Gaga in this case. So let me, I guess, start with the car. I'm going to start a new file here. I'll just click OK, ActionScript 3.0. And I'll import the graphics. So import to library. And these you should have downloaded, but I've got 2 files here. I'll just select them both with my control key down. Click open. If I go to my library, I can see I have the 2 images. So I think I'll start just with the car. Let me just close this. Actually, I'll drag the car to the stage. And maybe before I do anything else, I will actually set the size of my movie. So if I go Modify, Document, I'm going to make it 800 by 500 pixels. Click OK. And if I go Fit in Window, I'll see my whole movie. There we go. Now the idea with the car is that I want to have this car masked out from its background, number 1. Number 2, I want to include 2 spinning wheels that I will just draw with my vector drawing tools. I also want to put another masked image over top so that it looks like it's fitting inside of this window. And that will all be nested inside of a movie clip, and then that movie clip will be animated. So let me start by taking this graphic image on the stage and going Modify, Convert to Symbol. I do want it to be a movie clip, so I will choose Movie Clip, and I will name this movie clip Car. Click OK. Let me just expand my timeline view out here a bit to normal. Now you can see, it might be hard to see, but there's a blue marquee around this, and if I click on it now, it's actually a movie clip. And if I go to my library, or rather my properties, I can see it's a movie clip. Instance of Car. Now instance means that if I go to my library, for example, I can see there is my movie clip. I could drag this out 10 times on the screen, and it would be all instances of the one single movie clip. In other words, they're all projecting the content of the one movie clip. Let me just close my library now. Again, I'll highlight this on the stage. Now, how do I get inside of a movie clip? I double click on it. The idea here is that I actually want to go inside of this movie clip, create the masked image, put some wheels on here that I will draw. Now these wheels will also be movie clips, and I will animate those movie clips. So I have a bit of nesting that's going to take place here. In other words, when I say nesting, I mean a movie clip inside of a movie clip and potentially inside of another movie clip. Now let me just give you the big picture of what is a movie clip. It's literally a unique timeline that is embedded inside of another timeline. So each movie clip is really its own movie, and I can put those inside of frames in another timeline. And currently, if I deselect here, you can see here that I'm on my scene 1 level timeline, and I've got a movie clip on it. If I double click on this, if you look at my navigation up here, I'm now inside of the movie clip called Car, and I can see this according to this navigation bar. Now this is a separate movie clip, a separate timeline. Just to prove it, let me just put another keyframe here temporarily. I'll just go F6. Now I've got a clip spanning over 10 frames. If I go up to scene 1, that movie clip, which is made up of 10 frames so far, is sitting on 1 frame. That's because this movie clip is sitting inside of a single frame. Now let me double click on that movie clip once again. And you can see here I'm inside of the movie called Car. Now I'm going to actually delete that keyframe for now. I'll highlight it and hit Shift F6. And I'll actually delete all of these other frames by shift clicking here and going Shift F5, which deletes frames. And I'm back to my single keyframe with my graphic called Car. Now I'm going to create a mask for this. So I'm going to create a new layer. Actually, let me just name this layer right now. I'll call it Car. And create a new layer. Call it Car Mask. And I'll quickly draw the shape of that car excluding the wheel. So I will zoom up on this, Control plus to zoom, and start to draw. And I can use my space bar to move my image around. So I'm just going to capture the body of the car here. And I can hold down my control key and adjust things on the fly, because when I hold down my control key, it temporarily turns my cursor into the subselection tool. And I'm just going to click on here and pull that out a bit and continue to draw. Let me undo that and make that curve a little nicer. Click here to continue. Okay, and I can click that once. And then continue on with my drawing here. So I'm going to quickly go around here and create the shape of the car. And again, I'm just creating this to ultimately create a mask to isolate the car from the background. Okay, the last wheel well. Okay, so there's my shape. Now I'm just going to go in with my bucket tool, fill it, then go back with my selection tool, double click on the key line and delete the key line, or the stroke if you will. And I'll just reduce that in size. And that will be my mask. So how do I create a mask? Very simply, I go over to my layer with that graphic in it, right click on it, choose mask. And there we have our masked car. I'm going to save my file right now. And I'll just call this moving car.